You're watching Boston Celtics Today. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. You can follow us on Twitter at HGrahamNFL, at Chase_Sr. The Boston Celtics finally have made a signing. We'll talk about that and then some other chatter around this team as well. But we got to start with that signing, Chase. We'll talk about it just verbally for a minute here. Enes Kanter back to Boston on a one-year deal.
Yeah, played with the Celtics in 2019-20. And honestly, last year, Kanter wasn't terrible. He put up decent numbers, both scoring-wise and rebounding the basketball. For Celtics fans out there, that's what you're hoping this guy is going to bring to the table. It's scoring, rebounding, energy, as well as defense. You're going up against guys like Joel Embiid, and Kanter throughout his NBA career has at least been able to limit Joel Embiid. But that news coming from Shams that Kanter agreed to a one-year deal. It's going to be worth the veterans minimum, and I kind of like it as a depth signing. We've been talking about this a lot, Harrison. Celtics need to address the front court issues. And by bringing in Kanter, who Brad Stevens, then the coach, now the GM, coached for a while, he knows the player that he's bringing in here.
Yeah, played last year with the Trailblazers, got that change on screen for you guys. Hey, kind of similar to a lot of modern backup big types. Not a great defender, but he rebounds well. He can score around the basket. He's been kind of a fan favorite at times in Boston. He was really well liked there. So I don't mind this move whatsoever. And like you say, Chase, this team really needed bigs.
You traded away Tristan Thompson. Let me ask you this. Who would you rather have, Enes Kanter or Tristan Thompson?
It's a fair point.
Pretty
Probably
similar
Kanter.
players. Probably Kanter at this point, because I think he gives you a little bit more both defensively as well as offensively. Not the athlete that Tristan Thompson is, but brings just as much energy to the floor on both ends as a backup. And that's the thing to focus on. This is a backup addition. So for Celtics fans, kind of feel bad for you. This is a team with a lot of gaping holes. We'll get to why they haven't made a lot of moves reportedly here just in a bit, but this is a good depth signing for the squad.
Yeah, and what is your one-word reaction to Kanter heading back to the Boston Celtics? Let us know down in the comments. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video, so get your votes in. What is your one-word reaction to Kanter returning to the Boston Celtics? Last year, double-double, Chase. I mean, the guy really can score. He's skilled offensively. The problem with Enes Kanter, and the reason I'm with you, I think he has to come off the bench. He can start if you need him to, but that's not ideal, is he get pick and rolls, he just gets eaten up. Like you just can't have him defensively in those situations.
Yeah, he's not the most spry guy trying to get out to the three-point arc to guard some of these other athletic bigs. That's why, coming off the bench, he can fill into a role and slide into a role where he's going against other secondary backup centers. And usually across the landscape of the NBA, those backup centers are guys who do stay down low because they are somewhat limited. That's when you bring in Kanter to try and defend those guys. And I think you make a good point in saying he's pretty skilled offensively, not in terms of his versatility, just some of the moves that he has down low. And this guy is massive, so he can clear some space down in the paint as well and just kind of be crafty with some nice touch right around the basket.
Yeah, I mean, look, my main takeaway when it comes to Enes Kanter is that you needed bigs, which is what you said. He helps, but you need more. Like, this ain't going to do it. If 2 weeks from now we're looking back at free agency and the Celtics' big move was signing Enes Kanter, that's red flags there. I mean, you traded Kemba Walker to get Al Horford back. Kemba, by the way, ends up with New York. We'll talk about that for briefly later on. Brad Stevens slides into this GM role. You think he's this, innovative mind guy, a guy that can get things done. What are you going to do at this point? Like, you need more, not only at the big position, but I think from a whole roster standpoint here, you look at the bigs you do have. I mean, Kanter's arguably your best one. Tristan Thompson's out of the fold now, so he's not in the mix. You lose him. Grant Williams isn't a true big. We'll see what Jabari Parker's future hold. You have Robert Williams. He's okay. He's an energetic player.
Under contract, one more year for 3.6.
You got to find more than this, Chase. Like, this is not going to cut it.
I don't think so either. And what's missing from this crew, right? Tristan Thompson obviously out of there, and Enes Kanter sliding in. You don't have a stretch big on this roster.
No.
You don't have a guy who gives you a little bit of lineup versatility. And I think that's really important nowadays in the NBA because so many other big men across the league and so many other front courts do have those guys who can at least stretch the floor just a bit. And stretching the floor, widening everything out for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is very, very important, and they don't have that right now on this roster.
I mean, do you get desperate to a point where you're like, well, Kristaps Porzingis is intriguing. Let's call the Mavs. I'm not saying that, but man, the depth here, it's not what it once was here in Boston. So Brad Stevens has his hands full to try and figure things out quickly. Mark Murphy had this earlier today. Celtics' priority, according to a league source, is to retain a salary structure that makes it possible to sign a major player when he becomes available, most likely next summer. That would be 2022. Good chance they don't use the 5.7 taxpayers mid-level this time around. So Boston potentially looking ahead to the future here, Chase. So you're thinking, okay, what free agents, what trade targets could be out there? Obviously, Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal could still be available via trade, either at the trade deadline or next offseason.
Yeah, so this is the list that we put together of some guys that maybe the Celtics are able to target, right? And maybe some of them more realistic than not. Bradley Beal said, hey, I want to stay with the Washington Wizards, but if things don't go well this year with his contract set to expire here in the near future, could the Celtics look to go after him if the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum experiment doesn't work? Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum are best friends.
Yep.
Damian Lillard, same can be said for him. If it's a dumpster fire in Portland, he has the power to demand a trade. Zach Lavine probably up for the max. I like Collin Sexton. Been some trade rumors surrounding him. De'Aaron Fox, I really like him as well.
Can him and Halliburton play long-term together, though?
Yeah, can him, Halliburton, as well as Davion Mitchell all play together in the future? And is De'Aaron Fox, like some of the other players on this list, just going to grow tired of consistent losing? So that's the list of potential targets next year, working off that report from the Boston Globe. This is why I'm still confused, though, about what the Celtics are doing. They have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on this roster right now. So it doesn't make sense to me that they're not aggressive in free agency, because I do think that this team has some of the pieces to win right now. Yes, Jason Tatum is still young in his NBA career. For me, I'm already putting him in and pegging him in as a top 10 player. I want to maximize his prime years. I want to maximize Jason Tatum being a superstar to try to win right now. I understand Brad Stevens first-year GM, Ime Udoka first year as a head coach, but I still think this roster, given the star talent on it, with Brown and Tatum, can compete. That's why I'm kind of dumbfounded as to why the Celtics have been so silent. I'm not trying to wait a year. I'm trying to be aggressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I totally agree. So grade the Celtics free agency period so far, A, B, C, D, or F. I mean, F, D minus, D.
Yeah.
Celtics fans yell at me in the comments, but when
D,
when all you've done is trade for Josh Richardson, who was a bum last year in Dallas, maybe that changes, and sign Enes Kanter, it's not doing that much for me. Some other news and notes that could relate to Boston: Aron Baynes waived. If you want to get another depth big, you could bring him back. Don't mind it as a bench option overall, but again, not going to be a starter type in Boston.
And I think the signer of Kanter kind of takes Baynes out of the equation. The other one that we want to hit, it's this Kemba Walker trade to the New York Knicks. It looks as though Kemba Walker has restructured his contract with OKC. It was kind of inevitable that he was going to get dealt from OKC.
They've agreed to a buyout.
Yeah,
we don't know the
terms.
buyout.
And it looks as though possibly Kemba Walker, $8 to $9 million, maybe even the $10 million range annually with the New York Knicks. That's the case, and he's still averaging 19 points per game. It's not a bad pickup for the Knicks when they need a scoring point guard.
So will you guys miss Kemba? Let us know. I know he's been gone for a couple months now, but he's found a new home, it appears, in New York at Madison Square Garden. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let us know if you will miss Kemba Walker. And hey, subscribe to Boston Celtics Today. I know it's been a slow free agency period, but as news trickles in, we'll continue to keep you guys updated here on this channel, youtube.com/CelticsTV. If you're watching on Chat Sports, go check out our Celtics channel for you true Celtics fans. The link is down below, and then hit that big red button once you get over there.